View from the Gutters presents Back Matter, Episode 5.
I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright. I'm hooked on a feeling, I'm high on believing that you're in love with me. Lips as sweet as candy.
On this episode, we discuss the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and to skip ahead to the Devil Dealers review, skip to 5109.
Cup of wine. Got a bug from you, girl, but I don't need no cure. I just stay affecting if I can for sure. All the good love when we
So, Back Matter. Welcome back.
Hi, Joe.
Welcome back to Back Matter. Back to Back Matter? No, it's not. It's not back to back. It's
Back
just
to Back Matter.
the return, the triumphant return of Back Matter.
It's making the penises kiss matter.
It's
Yeah.
making the penises kiss matter. I'm Joe Preddy.
Butt to butt.
It is, well...
And we are
it's-
butt to butt. I'm Andrew Chart.
We are butt to butt.
I am Tobiah Panchin, and I am watching you be butt to butt from a safe distance.
Yeah.
That's
behind,
so hot.
like a lead shield.
The
There's some
pure-
protective glass in
The,
front of you.
heat coming off that butt to butt action is
Is-
just too much. You could get burned very
We're trying
easily.
to
Sexual ferocity.
We're trying to discover fission
It's gonna happen.
or harness
it's
the
gonna
energy given off by fission. Do
There
they
is
do that?
a
Do they do that?
solid ball of deuterium between us.
Yeah.
Snugly nestled between our butt
Betwixt
cheeks
our butt
as we are butt to butt.
I think that's the sexiest thing I've ever heard you say.
Yeah. Well, I
Yep.
mean, I am a pelvic sorcerer.
Yeah. Speaking of pelvic sorcery,
Yeah.
we're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy today.
Yeah, because
We are talking about
we
that.
went and saw it the other
and
day.
If you haven't seen the movie yet, just be
Yeah.
warned, we're going to be talking about plot details. So,
Yes.
as always with View from the Gutters, this is your spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, I think I will personally, I can't hold you guys to it, but I think we can talk about the movie without being too spoiler heavy, but still, you should go and
Oh,
see it
yeah,
first.
absolutely.
Yeah, we might ruin some jokes for you, though.
Yeah,
They're probably
yeah.
funnier in the movie than when we
That's
relay them.
true. That's true.
But yeah, I don't know. We saw it the other day. I think
Yeah,
Yeah, we somehow all showed up to the same
Yeah.
showing.
Well, it was planned. I don't know if you knew that.
I mean, it was like me and Tobiah and Kerbotron 2000 and Kaylee, who's
Yes.
also on the show occasionally, all had
And Adam, too.
and Adam had all made plans to go, and then Chard was like,
I had
"I'm going at
independent-
that point as well," and so I was like, "Well, it's,
accidentally almost made independent plans, but then I was like, I'm thinking about going tomorrow at this time. And you're like, oh, that's when we're going. I was like, yeah, I'm going with you guys. That's
yeah.
what I meant.
So
Okay, I met Jody, another friend of ours, outside the theater, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I woke up and I was like, I want to see the movie." And so I just texted Chard, and I was like, "We're going to the movie now."
Yeah, that's what he had texted me and was like, I kind of want to see it. I was like, I'm seeing it at 10:30. Come with us.
Okay, that was not my understanding of how that went down.
Yeah.
well,
it was,
Jody is a mysterious and enigmatic figure, and who knows his reasons for doing anything.
yeah.
God alone.
He texts me in the Arnold Schwarzenegger voice, which he's like spells it out as
Yeah.
Arnold would say it, but it's always, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? Where are you? And it's
so-
really funny.
So Chard,
Yes.
what did you think of the movie?
I thought it was really fun. I think everyone in the world liked it more than I did, but I don't have a reason for not liking it.
No,
I
I'm with you
liked
there.
it. I just wasn't. Everyone else made it seem like it was the brand newest, freshest, greatest thing they'd ever seen.
Well, it seems like there's two kind of camps of thought.
Yeah.
are the people who are like, this was insanely great. Like, this is this generation Star Wars.
Yeah.
This is so incredible. And the people who are like, yeah, that was a pretty good movie. And I definitely find myself kind of in the second camp. Like,
Yeah.
I thought it was okay. Like,
I've
it's
yet
by
to-
no means a bad movie. It's not even
No,
the worst Marvel movie.
I really liked it. It's
I
probably,
just thought it was kind of okay, and I had a few problems with some of the characterization.
Yeah, they changed a lot of stuff, and I'm not continuity like I'm not caught up with the current continuity of Guardians, so I don't know if that's because they changed stuff because of the way that the new writers are writing stuff, or if
If anything, it's the other way around. They
Yeah.
are changing the Guardians in the comic book to more closely match the movie.
I see. Because I haven't read any of the new Guardians since they relaunched.
Since Bendis took over, it's the same team that you see in the movie, plus Angela, Venom, and Captain Marvel,
Okay.
which is kind of a eclectic group. but
Yeah.
There you go. And like the last arc that happened was kind of like a soft relaunch where they kind of like reintroduced all the characters so you know who they are. Very much feeling like if you just saw the movie, buy this issue
Cool.
or buy these several issues.
Well, that's smart. I mean, I feel like that's always what Marvel's done better than a lot of other, adaptations is like, hey, you just saw this adaptation of something. Like, now we have a clear spot for you to come in our universe and read these books.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, oh, I just saw that movie. Well, in the comics, though, he has a horse head and he's made of fire. And
And
he's
he's 50
nothing
feet
like,
tall.
yeah, he's nothing like what you just saw. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that's... What am I supposed to read instead? So I think that Marvel, specifically Marvel Studios Marvel, does a good job of that because that's something that like the X-Men movies never led into the comics in any way or were like really relatable to the comics. I
Well,
don't
the
think.
last
And-
few X-Men movies have been I think their script writing process is let's grab a big armful of the last 20 to 30 years of X-Men. We'll put them in a blender
and we'll
and then
pour out a
we'll
really bad movie.
just kind of throw it at a wall that's been covered with paste, and whatever's up there will be our script.
Yeah.
And we'll just go from there.
Yeah,
Because
I'm in
people
the-
were saying First Class was a good movie, and I watched it, and I was like, I have no idea what's going on. These characters are from like 3 or 4 different generations of X-Men.
Yep.
The casting is off. I mean,
you killed the only unkillable character in the movie first.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense.
So-
good job, guys. No, it was so this felt a lot more like I'm with Joe though about X-Men. I saw First Class like a month ago or 2 months
it's
ago
just
for the first
awful.
time and was like, what the fuck are people talking about? Anyway,
I honestly have not seen any of them
Don't.
since X3.
Don't.
And I know people say like they got better after that, but
nope.
all the buzz that I've heard, like it's always been like, yeah, it's better than X3. Like, yeah, it's better. It's like very much like the New 52. Like, yeah, it's pretty good in comparison.
Yeah.
Not
That's-
ever anything that really makes me go like, oh, I need to see this movie.
Yeah.
people went to see Revenge of the Sith when that came out, and they were like, "Oh, it's better. It's good." And I went and saw it, and I was like, "Okay, if you're saying it's better, I am forced to take your meaning to be that whereas seeing the previous 2 films was akin to getting kicked in the crotch 18 times, and this movie was akin to getting kicked in the crotch 15 times."
Yeah.
Like-
that's what they meant.
And that's how I feel about the difference between like X3 and First Class is like it's just the amount of times you're getting kicked repeatedly in the crotch, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I also watched the not the Wolverine, but Wolverine Origins.
I will.
That
not watch
movie
Wolverine.
was fucking trash garbage.
Yeah, I will not watch Wolverine movies.
No, I won't either.
Because I'm not even a big Wolverine fan. So
Yeah, I'm not
it's-
either.
There's no draw there except for to see Hugh Jackman's abs.
I
and
would have seen
I
it
can Google those.
if Darren Aronofsky had directed the second.
Yeah,
I would have. I would
Joe
have
got
se- I would have
distracted
watched
by
it.
his phone again.
Well, no, it's weird. Something weird happened on my phone. But so my boss wanted me to call her before I came to record, and I wanted to make sure it was not her calling me. And then apparently, instead of declining the call, I tried to respond with a text. But because it's to a phone number and not a cell phone number, it's telling me that it didn't send. So
Good deal.
Cool.
yeah. Anyways,
So I would like to talk about some of the things that I didn't like about Guardians. I'd also like to talk about
course
some of
you
the things
do.
that I did like, but I wanted to get your kind of, 1,000-yard stare at it, Joe. Like, how did you feel about the movie overall?
Oh, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I'm going to see it again.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to see it again too.
I'm bringing other people that were not with us that I think should see it.
I mean, I said that I didn't see why everyone else thought it was the greatest movie of all time, but I do think it's one of my favorite Marvel films.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that I'm not. Was this one of the greatest movies of all time? Clearly not. No. This is probably one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. It's definitely in my...
It's a good comedy, too.
Yeah, I think The Avengers, Winter Soldier, and...
Thor 2?
Avengers, Winter Soldier,
Man
and Guardians of the Galaxy are my favorite Marvel films. I haven't seen the Thor movies yet because I keep waiting to watch them with Turbotron, and she keeps not watching them with me.
They're okay.
But
I really like the Thor movies.
They're too sci-fi to me. I was talking to Jody about this right before we saw the movie, and he and I were talking about Thor, and I was like, I just don't understand why it's not a fantasy. Like, I get it. Like, they're trying to make it part of the Marvel Universe more, where it's like, hey, there's Asgardians, the 9 realms are space realms, and, like, that ties into
that
Galaxy,
goes back,
really.
That goes back to Jack Kirby.
It does, but...
Like, it's always been the Marvel thing that, like, kind of the more, like, divine, godly stuff are all, like, hyper-advanced aliens.
Right, but what about all the 9 realms that are not, like, kind of spacey? Like, there's the realm of dwarves and the realm of elves that they go visit that are, like, in the comics are, like, very magic or, like, Lord of the Ringsy oriented. And I was
and that's the thing,
about...
like, in the comics, even the Asgardians are portrayed as kind of, like, it's a science that's so far advanced that it is essentially magic.
Right. And I just kind of want to see in the next Thor movie or something, a scene where he, like, has to put the 9 realms back together, because they kind of did that in the second movie where he, like, fights that giant guy and hits him with a hammer. But I just kind of wanted them to cut between, like, each of the 9 realms and show you what they were like really quickly and be like, oh, here's him in hell and here's him in the dwarf and, like, all these other places. And then when they get to the dwarf one, it's just, like, him sitting in a chair and there's all these tiny dwarves, like, dancing around him and, like, music is playing and he's just, like, drinking out of the tiniest dwarf cup ever. And I was like, that would be the greatest thing.
That would be pretty cool. I would love for them to do Thor 3 with Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah.
And actually have them go
awesome.
to the realm of the dwarves to forge Stormbreaker.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I think that there's a lot to be explored in Thor, and I think the Thor movies are like, but what about Jane Foster and Earth? And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Can you cut
Well, that's
away?
why Jane Foster, like, has not been a thing in the
Well,
comics.
Yeah, I was like, can we cut away from that part? I want to see the rest of the adventure.
That's what Walt Simonson did in his, like, that's why his run was so groundbreaking, because he's like, no, fucking Dr. Donald Blake is gone.
Right.
Like, fuck Jane Foster.
Yes.
Thor is going off to Asgard and having magic adventures with elves and dragons.
I want to see him, like, fight a giant serpent in the old times with Vikings. And like,
I think the thing that I appreciate the most about Guardians is that it shows a willingness on Marvel's part to do things that are not standard. This was, I really feel like
absolutely
Guardians was a gamble for them. And the fact that it has the highest Thursday opening yet, that it's breaking all kinds of August opening records, that's excellent, because that means they're going to make a Doctor Strange movie. And we might see more of that Thor stuff where we get more into Asgard and stuff like that.
Well, you noticed that there's been a marketing blitz behind the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not just talking about, like, advertisements for the trailers. Like, they're doing a cartoon show, and there's, like, Disney play sets and toys.
the toy lines came out, like, 2 weeks before the movies. They did Lego sets, like, a month before the movies came out. Like, the name Guardians of the Galaxy was in young kids' minds before the movie came out.
And they were making a huge push to make this a new, like, kids line.
Yes.
Specifically because I think Marvel was worried, like, this is the first thing that we're doing. Like, it's not set on Earth. It has nothing to do with superheroes. Like, it's pretty far afield from our standard fare. And I think that they did the first 2 Thor movies specifically centered around Earth so much because they wanted that level of grounding for audiences that might not be ready to embrace this kind of shit.
But
And that the fact that they wanted Guardians to be a success and that it has been a success is basically license for them to go, okay, we're going to start trotting out the weirder stuff. We're going to be less attached to Earth. We're going to be less traditionally superhero oriented, and we're going to be able to do different things because we've proven to audiences what we're about, and they are willing to come along with us and try some of the crazier stuff.
Yeah, and I don't feel like doing more fantasy would really be that crazy because we've had movies that have done like Viking fantasy really well. Like you've got 13th Warrior and Beowulf, and then you've got all the like Lord of the Rings and Hobbit movies that like putting Thor in that kind of situation wouldn't have been
13th
too
Warrior and Beowulf were both 13th Warrior. I'm pretty sure was a bomb. I don't think it made its budget back. And Beowulf, I think, barely made its budget, but like neither one of those were highly successful films.
But you're right about the Lord of the Rings, and
Yeah.
I think that audiences are accepting of those kind of concepts. But I also think it's very easy for somebody to go, there's a new Marvel movie, and it's not about superheroes or anything that I really know about.
Yeah.
I'll skip this one. Maybe I'll see it on Netflix.
Yeah.
Like they
I
want
suppose.
to get people into the theaters, and really selling them on the idea of something like Guardians of the Galaxy, I think is critical for
No, I agree.
their strategy going forward.
I agree.
Yeah, they don't
And
want
the fact that they've proven that they can do different stuff, that they've got this Infinity Stone subplot running through that people are attached to and care about and are
Yep.
interested in. Like, I think that's really important for them to be able to do their movies going forward in a way that DC really has not been laying down the groundwork.
no,
No.
and they're
Like
not
DC,
going to.
obviously, with their Batman Superman movie and
Well, it's
their
Batman
planned Justice
versus
League.
No,
Superman.
Batman versus Superman plus Wonder Woman, Aquaman,
Versus.
The Flash, and everybody else.
Versus.
Yeah, like
you know how long
they-
the Batman versus Superman movie would be? I'm in space and I'm Superman. Laser vision, you're dead. Like that's not. Why would they be fighting?
But
I
that's
don't
not
understand.
even where I'm coming from. I'm
No,
just
I
saying
know
that
what you
it's
mean.
obvious that DC and Warner Brothers wants the big Avengers payday,
Right.
But they're not willing to put in the legwork and the groundwork to really build something like
Wow.
that up and make it be a thing that people want to go to.
Yeah, that sounds really familiar. It sounds like when they were talking about doing like an entire universe reboot and then decided not to put any research or work or planning into
Wait a minute,
it,
did
and
that-
then
did that
all of
happen?
it failed and everyone was mad at them. It
Was
sounds-
that a thing that happened?
I vaguely remember something
I think-
similar to this happening
the more
before.
I think about it, the more I think you're right.
And it may have even been the exact same company.
I mean, the beautiful thing
So,
about
what you just said,
Yeah.
I'm going to catch that
Yeah.
because my reflexes are very good.
Yes. Yes.
I think the beautiful thing to me is that Marvel has done so well at like the Marvel movies, the MCU is a brand right now.
Yeah.
And like it is a brand that has trust. You know, people just trotted out to go and see a movie that starred a giant walking tree. Right?
An awesome walking
Yeah.
tree.
Yeah.
And like the thing is that I was talking to Kerbotron's brother, my future brother-in-law, who he will not be anymore, because I was like, you guys need to go and see this. And he's like, well, it looks stupid to me. And I'm like, what the fuck do you know? You went and saw Transformers 4.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we only went to see it for 22 Jump Street. And I'm like, I don't fucking care. Like, I'm saying go and watch a good movie, and you'd rather sit through a bad movie to get to a mediocre movie. What the fuck is that all about? But I think that most people were like, no, I want to go and see this. They were intrigued by the ideas that it had. And I think that there were a lot of things in this movie that I was really curious how they were going to approach, because these are not characters like Drax and Gamora are not the cleanest continuities in Marvel comics. Like Drax,
Well, Rocket-
especially.
Rocket
yeah,
too.
like Rocket.
Well,
I mean,
Rocket hasn't really had enough different stuff to be convoluted. It's just a little bit weird, and they
It's-
were able
it's
to kind of like just
incredibly-
do it real quick.
He doesn't have an origin in the comic. Like he is,
Yeah,
the,
he's
he
just
is
a
his,
space raccoon.
he's his the only one of
Well,
his
no,
species.
he does have an origin. That he absolutely does.
No, because he's the only one. His origin essentially is like he's the only one of his species, and there's nothing else like him, or
That's
at least
not-
that's current Marvel continuity.
That hasn't been the case as far as I'm aware.
Yeah,
he's from
that's-
Half-World.
No, in the new ongoing Rocket Raccoon, he's the only one of his species. Like there are no other. Like they've changed his origin. He's been retconned.
I don't know if that's the
Boom!
case or if he's
You
just
just got
saying like
retconned.
I'm the only one like me.
No. In the new current, I'll spoil the Rocket Raccoon series, the new Scotty Young Rocket Raccoon, he's the only one of his species, and then he meets another one of his species. That is the whole plot of that series.
Has there been a second issue of that?
No.
Okay. 'Cause I read the first issue, and I don't recall him saying, like, I'm the only one of my species.
Yeah, he's the last or the only one of his species. That's what he says.
Okay, because
and that's why the big reveal
he's had an origin for years.
Yeah, but that's why the big reveal of the other raccoon at the end of that issue was like a big deal. Because it's like, oh, he's not. He doesn't know that he's not, but he thinks he is the only one of his species.
That was not my reading of that.
So, hold on a second.
Holding.
But in the movie, he's genetic. He's just a raccoon.
Yeah, he's a
been
genetically altered
modified.
raccoon,
Which is
like
easier.
has like cybernetic implants and shit. Which is his origin from the comic, his original one.
Right.
Which it's like, okay, he's a raccoon that's been modified by aliens. That's cool. Like there, origin done.
Even in Annihilation, he was
And,
an
like,
alien, though.
Drax is a little bit of a harder
Drax
sell.
is super confusing.
It's not super confusing.
It's just
it
weird.
requires you to know a little bit more background, because we kind of in the movies we know that Thanos is a guy, but we don't know any of his story or what he is, where he comes from.
Right.
And understanding what Drax is about is predicated on knowing who the Eternals are and what their deal
And the
is.
and the Titans.
And
'cause-
yeah,
Well, no, the Titans are the Eternals of the planet or of the moon Titan.
yeah.
Right.
Well, and Drax's origin is linked very strongly to the cosmic Marvel universe, which is the first glimpse of in a cinematic way.
Yeah.
So,
Well, because in the comic, it's that car accident, right? That kills his wife.
It's not a car accident. Thanos is coming to Earth. A car sees him. He blows up the car. Then Thanos' father takes the dying man who is in the car and rebuilds him as Drax the Destroyer and says, you need to go kill Thanos.
Yeah.
And that's his entire backstory.
Yeah.
And they could have done that, but that would be predicated on you knowing a number of things like Thanos is an Eternal and he's visited Earth and bringing in his father. And it's just all this stuff that you don't really want to take the time to explain in a movie because it's just going to take a bunch of time away.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'd be fine with them kind of hand-waving that.
Yeah.
And even the fact that, like, oh, he's an alien, like, that doesn't really bother me, especially because they can come in later and say, like, he's an alien, but he was actually originally from Earth and he's been reconstructed. Like,
Yeah.
they can bring that in later.
Yeah.
My problem with Drax in this movie was that he was portrayed as kind of a buffoon.
But don't you remember Dumb Drax? Like, that was...
I do, and I didn't like Dumb Drax, and I liked when
But
they
that's
rebooted him and made him Riddick Drax.
I don't think he
basically.
was a buffoon. I think he was what's colloquially referred to as the straight man, which I'm surprised you don't get since you are the fucking straight man.
Yeah.
Like,
I know what a
that's,
straight
there
man
is
is,
a
Joe.
difference between buffoonery, which is like, as we've talked about,
And
carrying the idiot
tomfoolery.
ball around, and like not getting references. And the thing
Well,
is
it was
that
more than not getting references. It was like him calling in Ronan, like, "Hey, come and get us."
He was drunk,
that's
dude. We've all done
I mean,
that when
he's
we're drunk.
drunk,
We've
and
all
that
done like, hey,
seems-
world conqueror, come and get me. I'm going to kill you.
That is perfectly in keeping with his characterization throughout the
agree.
rest of the film, where he is
No,
just
and
like,
it's
let's
not,
fucking
it's
dance.
not inconsistent at all. I just didn't like it. Like, I would have liked for him to be a little bit more, like,
I think this,
have him
You wanted
feel like a little bit
Annihilation
more
Drax.
legitimately of a threat. Yeah, I would have
he
liked
did.
Annihilation.
But he punches guys, like, through
Annihilation
walls,
Drax
like-
is the evolution of Drax throughout fucking years. You don't
Yeah.
get that right up front.
Yeah.
Because if you got that right up front, then where's the character growth?
Also, his vocabulary is massive. It's not like he's an idiot. He's just like, and his culture doesn't understand metaphor, which is a fantastic joke. And one of my
Yeah.
favorite jokes in Archer is when
And,
he's like on that small
yeah, I was
island nation.
just gonna fucking bring that
And
up.
he keeps
they don't
trying to-
have idioms here.
He keeps trying to translate the idioms into their language. And
Do you
it doesn't
even
work.
know what an idiom is? Yeah, it's a culture and metaphor. Yeah, that actually is what it is.
And I loved that. I loved.
Right,
I mean,
and-
like all of the jokes are, as Joe said, like he is the straight man. He doesn't understand the metaphor. Like finger across the throat means death is maybe the best line in a movie ever. Like it is so perfect, and you don't get lines like that if you had Annihilation Drax. Like every good joke that Drax had comes from the fact that he doesn't really understand what they're trying to tell him. And that's that whole scene with Peter Quill in there when he's like, does the finger, why would I slide my finger
and-
across his throat? Like, all of that is fantastic.
And
like,
that's
some of the
great,
best stuff of the movie.
But I don't know, it didn't quite play right for me on the screen. And maybe that's a combination of the writing, the directing, Batista's skills as an actor.
Dude, it came off
Like, I don't know, it
near
just
perfect.
I think
for
it's.
me.
I think
it was.
I.
I'm not saying that the movie was bad or that depiction was bad. I'm saying it bothered me a little bit as a reader of the comic.
I think
Which,
I think
yeah.
is fair, but also kind of like this chocolate ice cream isn't chocolatey enough. For me.
Yeah, no,
It's
and
like the most.
I will totally
minuscule-
cop to that. Like this chocolate ice cream is chocolate, but it could be chocolate.
It could have brownie chunks in it.
exactly,
Different
exactly.
kind
And
of
that's the thing.
chocolate that I
No,
wanted.
and I will cop to this. Absolutely, I am definitely saying this ice cream is. This is good ice cream, but it could you could put brownie chunks in there. You could put fudge
And
sauce on there.
That's fair.
I think the thing that I like the most about the MCU is that, and this is something that 5 years ago I couldn't ever fathom me fucking saying. And if you had told me I was going to say it 10 years ago, I would fucking like probably laugh at you and then poop on you.
You were doing that a lot 10 years ago.
I was.
It was a real
pooping
problem.
on
It was
people like
real
everywhere.
problem.
It was crazy.
Real problem.
We had to take you to the vet. There was the cone of shame in play.
Yeah,
It was
you had
not good times.
We had. Yeah, it was a disaster.
It was.
The,
it was
the
bad.
year that you had worms was a rough year for all
It
of us.
was. It was. We wrote a graphic novel about it. Our Worms year.
Yeah.
But the thing is this. I think you have to leave the comic books at home. Like, you're not going to see an adaptation of the comic books. You're going to see like an alternate universe telling
as a
of
viewer.
these characters as a viewer.
Because there's a huge difference between the viewer leaving the comic books at home and the director leaving
Well,
the
no,
comic
that's
books
true,
at
and
home,
I think
which I think we'll see very deliberately in the new Fantastic Four movie, in which
Yes.
the director not only did not ever read a Fantastic Four comic, but told all of his actors, don't read any
yeah.
Fantastic
Well,
Four
and
comics.
that's just. I mean,
And I think that that's just massive ignorance
I
on the
think
part of
that's-
directors.
Absolutely. And I think that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has done a very good job of being true to the comics
Yes.
without being wedded to the comics.
Yeah.
I agree.
Where they've really been able to dig down and get the true essence of the characters and bring that across on the screen without going, we have to 100% match everything that's happening
I mean,
in the comic
this
book.
this story never happened in the comics.
No.
Like, you cannot go read the comic book version of this.
No.
Similar things have happened to the Guardians. Like, they've been to all of these places. They got together in a different way, but this didn't happen in the comics. And that's what's amazing about it, because when you take something like Watchmen, which I really like the Watchmen movie, it gets a lot of hate from comic book fans, but I thought it was really
I thought it
well
was
done.
excellent.
yeah, I thought it was really good.
Is that you end up spending most of your time making sure that you're doing the panels in the right order, that the dialogue happens in the right order, because you're doing an adaptation and you want that adaptation to be faithful, because the fans of that subject matter are like diehard fans.
Yeah, yeah.
And it gets in the way of you being able to like give the movie some life, or like room to breathe, or some, just interpret it a little bit. And
Well,
so
yeah.
Zack Snyder wasn't able to do that at all with Watchmen. So it's basically a very static adaptation of the comic book. And
Right.
when you do something like this, or like Winter Soldier, which is a much looser adaptation of that comic,
Oh, absolutely.
you have room to make it movie-like.
Well, and that's the biggest problem I think that Snyder has, because we've all seen what happens when Snyder goes off the change. You get fucking what's it called?
Man of Steel?
No. The one with the girls and the fantasy and the katanas.
Oh, Sucker Punch.
Sucker
the
Punch,
music
which
video.
it's basically a 2-hour-long music video.
And I'm
it's
telling
not-
you, if you cut out all the parts in the mental asylum, that movie's really cool.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's just like
You have no idea what's
Marvel-
going on.
I
I,
feel
I
like
haven't
James-
seen it yet. I wanted to,
James-
and then never got around to
I
it.
think that you'll
James-
hate it just because nothing happens in a lot
yeah,
of that film.
really nothing happens.
sometimes that's okay.
So
Yeah, it's just visually, it's a feast for the eyes. Like, I think it's beautiful, and I think there was so much cool action and stuff in there. But
I mean, I'm the guy
when
who's
they,
always trying to sell people on Koyana Squatsy.
But when they cut away from the action and go back to
It gets
the
very convoluted.
plot, it's like I'm tired of this
Yeah.
immediately.
And I think the thing that James Gunn did was he looked at this plot.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Okay, I have all these crazy ass characters. I'm gonna have fun with this, because this is
Yeah.
by far and away the best part of the movie is that it's fucking hilarious. This
Yeah.
is not just
And
like,
all of the cast from Slither is in this movie.
yeah,
Basically.
but it is so fucking funny. It's one of the funniest movies I've seen in recent memory, and like.
Yeah.
He's like, we're going to have fun with this. We're going to tell a really like action-packed story, and we're going to get all these great character moments in it. But at the end of the day, we're going to keep it fun because it's a comic book movie.
Absolutely.
It's
And-
not a fucking funeral dirge, Zack fucking Snyder
Well, yeah.
with your fucking Dark Knight. Fuck you!
Yeah,
Well-
and absolutely. The Peter Quill jokes
Yeah.
were great. All the Rocket Raccoon and Groot stuff was
Oh,
awesome.
they were-
It was
they
so
stole the
hilarious.
fucking show.
Absolutely. But for whatever reason, Drax and to a lesser extent Gamora, like their
She only-
bits felt a little bit flat.
She only has 2 jokes in the movie, which makes me really
Yeah,
sad.
it does, but
And,
I
you know,
think-
Gamora is supposed to be the most dangerous woman in the universe,
and she
this
feels
depiction
like
of
it.
her feels I
A
don't
little
know.
sedate.
Oh yeah, that's the perfect term.
Wow, I
sedate.
feel like
agree.
she
And
felt
'cause
dangerous.
I think she felt dangerous too. The one thing,
Like I feel like Gamora should have been the big ass kicker in this one.
I had
She
two.
kind of was, though, because she had to go up against all of the bigger threats.
Kinda.
Like, she didn't fight Ronan, but Nolan did. And
I would have
and
liked to see
She fought the biggest,
well, no,
Ronan's biggest
Drax
gun.
fought Ronan like twice.
Yeah, but he lost both times.
That's true.
That's fair.
Like, he got his ass handed to him.
I would have liked a little bit more. I would have liked the fight between Gamora and Nebula to feel a little bit more epic. I think they did a good job.
I
of it,
love
but-
the way that fight ended, though.
Yeah.
I
Because you
think
think it's going to go like, oh, Nebula is like, I refuse to take your hand, or I'm going to betray you at the last minute, then I fall and I die, because
Yeah.
that is the way that all villains go out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Especially in Disney movies.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not what happens, and I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Especially because it
absolutely.
means that they get to bring her back as a villain, which
and
is cool.
That's kind of what, at the end of the day, all the things I was like, okay, well, they kind of left a lot of stuff with Drax hanging. Gamora didn't get as much characterization as I would have liked, but there is definitely going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And
Oh, yeah.
I
Totally.
think that's where you're really going
Well-
to see a lot of the development, because
And I totally hope so.
Yeah.
these two characters factor in hugely with Thanos.
Yeah.
And Thanos is not going anywhere because, I mean, if
And
you've
while we're
seen
talking
Thor
about
2,
awesome things, fucking Thanos in this
Yeah, he
movie
looked
looked
sweet.
fucking incredible.
looked incredible, sounded incredible. That fucking grin on his face
Oh,
at the
God.
end, where he's like,
Josh
I'm going to
Brolin
sit
killed
down
it.
and I'm going to manipulate all these things, and maybe you'll get fucked in the ass, and maybe you won't, and you don't know, and it does not matter to me because I'm in charge here.
I was
I
iffy
love
up
the
until
casting.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah,
I was
he's
iffy
so
up until
good.
Thanos, and I saw him on that chair, and I was like, I am buying whatever this movie has
that
to sell
entire
from this
scene
point on.
yeah.
at Sanctuary, like that was pitch perfect to what
Oh,
you
yeah.
see in the comics. The
Yeah.
like the epic space shit all around, and the fact that they're just like on an asteroid in space. How are they breathing? I don't know.
Thanos' sweet chair.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thanos has his fucking awesome Metron chair that he's on.
Ugh.
And
That's totally not swiped from Metron at all.
That's what I mean, is like there's this whole feeling to not just this movie, but all of the Marvel movies that has those moments that when you see in the comic book, you're like, oh shit, it's on now. And they feel very good. Like this movie spoke to the fucking kid in me in a way that movies don't do anymore. And like balls to the wall fun. And I love it so much just for that. Even though there are a few things, there was a certain character that I kind of I was hoping would get a cameo, and they didn't. And-
Which was
Nova.
yeah, I
obviously.
would have really
Oh,
liked.
yeah.
I would have
Richard
really liked the
Rider.
Nova. The fact that there were no Centurions.
I believe that Gunn has said, and spoilers for the next Guardians movie potentially, that he wants to get Nova and Adam Warlock into Guardians too.
and like you need these characters because they are clearly setting up
And
an
I-
Infinity Gauntlet situation.
Yeah, I think it would be totally awesome if by the next movie they're like, Xandar has taken the Power Stone and used that to create the World Mind and the Nova Centurions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when we get Nova. I think
And
that would be
cool.
totally legit.
And we have 3 Infinity Gems on the table, which means I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing.
I always
if we
forget
see
that they
them-
say the Cosmic Cube is one.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
say the Cosmic Cube is
Is
one.
powered
and
by
like,
one or whatever.
I
No, the
really-
Cosmic Cube is the
Contains-
space gem,
Right.
or the Infinity Stone of space. The Tesseract from Thor 2 is the Reality Stone.
That's not the Tesseract. That's the it's the
Aether.
Ether. Yeah, that's what it
I
is.
thought I said Ether.
You said Tesseract.
Oh, sorry.
That was the Cosmic Cube.
Yeah, the Cosmic Cube, aka Tesseract, is the space gem.
Yes.
The Aether is the Reality
Yes.
gem, and then the
Well, I
Orb
thought it was
is the power
power.
gem.
Well-
They've said explicitly, like in tweets and stuff.
Oh.
People
Because
were going back and forth.
They use it like it's the power gem, though, in the
Which-
second
Well,
movie. In the Ether.
Not really.
Really? Okay.
But I mean,
It's-
again, this is a translation.
Yeah,
it's
no,
not
that's-
100% exact to the way
And
that things
I don't
are
know
in
that they'll
comics.
ever call them, like, the power gem,
Yeah,
the soul gem. Like, they might not.
Right.
They might
They're just
like,
the Infinity
They are
Stones.
just the
Yeah,
stones,
and I wouldn't be surprised if they don't marry themselves to that, just because. And this brings me to something else I really like about all the Marvel movies is the way they simplify in a very, very smart way.
Yeah.
They hand wave things that they know they can hand wave, and the things that they know they can't hand wave, they tweak to fit inside this universe. And like,
Well, they take out the extraneous elements
Yeah,
of it.
they just
and the other
whittle shit
thing
down.
about the cosmic gems in the comic, which is so cool, is they each have their own like distinct guardians, and they each have their own distinct like thing that they do, and using those takes like skill of the user. And so like to properly use the time gem like is its own thing, and to show all of that in a film is really difficult.
Yeah.
So I think kind of glossing over that and just being like they're really powerful is kind
And
of a
you
good
have
idea.
to be powerful to even
Yeah.
use it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what's cool about them doing them kind of one at a time, is that they get to establish facts a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
which is the right thing to do.
Speaking of which, that whole scene with the collector where he's explaining what it does, and you get to see, I think it's Esad the collector, the celestial with the giant staff.
Oh,
who judges the
yeah.
one. That
Oh,
was
so cool.
When I saw the Celestial, I was like, that is a beautiful, beautiful
I wanted to
Celestial.
hug James Gunn at so many points in this movie, and the
I-
fact that he had the balls to put a fucking full-on Celestial.
I
Yeah.
desperately want, or am waiting for the moment where Marvel's like, we're going to actually bring the Celestials in, and they're going to like do things on
Well,
the
they're
screen.
going
and not just
to
be
do
in
the
flashbacks.
Infinity War, which it looks like they're building towards some kind of event of that. You have Thanos on the board, and Josh Brolin was at Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, with the fucking Infinity Gauntlet on.
Yeah.
All right?
Well,
And, like,
so was Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but he's...
Well, they were
he's-
giving out foam Infinity Gauntlets. so
Right.
it's going to be a
they're
thing.
obviously gearing up. for
Yeah,
that.
I mean...
Also, I don't know if you guys read this, but I'm pretty sure that Gunn is going to be directing Avengers 3 and not Whedon.
Don't know.
Which
because
I think would be killer.
I think Whedon
I would be okay with that.
he said that like he's going to do Avengers 2 and then he's not. Like he might be stepping down for 3. So I'm sure you can find that information online if you're very curious. But the rumor, I think, is that Gunn is going to be like the guiding light of the next the wave. That's what they call them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Marvel waves
Or phase.
Phase. That's what it is.
That's a beautiful world, man.
Phase
Yeah, and
3.
I would not be upset by seeing more James Gunn directed.
Well,
Marvel
when he
movies.
was announced to do this, I was so excited because I have seen Slither, which is one of my
Oh,
favorite
God, it's
movies of all
amazing.
time. And just because it's hilarious. Like, again, it's a horror movie that is also funny. Like, it's a very fun movie. And I kind of... And also, most of the cast of that movie ended up in here, which made me really happy.
Yeah.
There
because-
is one other complaint that I would like to level about.
Oh,
this
yeah,
movie,
go
though.
for it.
And I know I was just cutting you off. If you want to finish,
No, it's all good.
and that was Ronan and the Power Stone. Like, if you know anything about Ronan in the comic books, like he's this very lawful, neutral character. Like he's all about like Kree supremacy and the law, and you've been judged and all that, or you stand accused. Like
He's the Judge
and he's
Dredd
somebody,
of space.
Yeah, he's Judge Dredd in space, and he's totally somebody that you can work with when circumstances align. And in this movie, I felt like his character was kind of stripped down into this, I'm angry, and I'm going to blow up all of these planets because fuck everyone else.
They made him into kind of a religious fanatic in this.
Yeah.
And I
that
think
that
it
kind of
worked
bummed
okay.
me out. I mean, it worked within the context of the movie if you
Yeah.
don't know anything else about Ronan, and that's fine. I'm just a little bit bummed out because it means that we aren't going to get that Ronan character at any time in the future.
And I was trying to think about this. Isn't Ronan a title?
No, the
No.
accuser
As
is
in-
a title.
Yes.
Okay.
Ronan
all
is
right.
the head of the accusers.
Right.
Okay. That's what I was.
So we may get another accuser.
And
Yeah,
that's-
and they could they could totally slot somebody else into that role in the greater Marvel cosmology, but like you didn't necessarily have to burn that character. Like you could have made Ronan somebody else in this movie and done it that way. And that
Yeah.
leads me into the kind of the second half, which is this movie in some ways felt very similar to Thor 2 to me, in that you have kind of this bad guy who's not super developed, who's like, I'm going to kill all this stuff because fuck everyone else except my people, and I'm trying to get this Infinity Stone in order to give me the power to do that thing.
Yeah, and
And so it kind of felt...
especially since Malekith felt even more out of character
Right.
in Thor 2 than Ronan felt out of character in this, I think.
So I think that is my greatest complaint, and that's why I only liked the movie instead of loved it.
Mm-hmm. But I think if you had never heard of Ronan before,
Yeah.
it's a difficult pill to swallow. Like, I think that he's challenging as a character because his motivation is like the law.
I don't know that that's necessarily true, and I think that you could have solved this in a 30-second to 1 minute scene where basically like he's set up as this evil guy and all this shit is going on, and then it cuts to a scene where he is talking to the Supreme Intelligence, and he's like, I don't know about doing this. This doesn't feel right. And the Supreme Intelligence goes like, I am the master of the Kree race. Like, I know what I'm doing. I'm telling you to do this. And you just need to trust that I know what's best for the Kree. And he goes, okay, well, you're the leader. And if you say so, I'm going to keep doing it.
And that makes sense. And then again, though, you have to cut to a giant head in a jar, which I would have personally loved more than anything else.
Amazing.
But I don't know that it would have. Like, I'm worried they didn't pull their punches a lot in this film, but there were some punches that they pulled. There was a little bit that they were like, we're not ready to give you that yet.
And
I think that you're right. Like, burning that character early means that you don't get scenes like that later.
And I don't necessarily. I mean, the thing is that this is clear to me. Watching this movie, it is clear to me that this is not a standalone film. This is going to be the first of at least two. And I would not at all be surprised if down the road a bit, once we get, because like there's rumors right now that Katie Sackhoff is
Captain Marvel.
Is going to be Captain Marvel. There's a picture of her with the fucking like plaster mask on and shit. And like
she's getting fitted for some kind of head thing, and the two rumors are either she's going to be in the next Star Trek movie as a Klingon or that it's going to be Captain Marvel.
So I would not be surprised if they get into I see their problem from a filmmaking perspective, which is that you can't just put the Supreme Intelligence on screen for 30 seconds. Yeah. Like, you can't do that. You can't, and you can't.
Well, you can. And
I mean, you can, but everybody would be like,
wait, what?
was that a giant fucking head?
And again, like, I think that was the big worry, that this film wouldn't sell because it's too far out there. And the fact that it walked up to the line.
Yeah.
And it didn't quite jump across it. Yeah. I think if it had jumped across it, would have been a stronger film. But I also think that would have been a riskier film to make.
It would have been a narrower
But having made
film,
the film that they made, they now have license to go further in the next one.
Yeah,
I think it was Kevin Feige, although it might have been James Gunn, who was saying that this is a Phase 3 movie hiding inside a Phase 2 movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that statement makes sense.
And I think also that I'm with you. I wish that instead of like massive spoilers on the end of the movie, I wish instead of Ronan exploding, like they had just like shipped him off to space. Like he just appeared in a different part of space, like floating through space, and was like, "Wait, what?" Well, I think that would have been cool because then it means that he's still on the table.
But keep in mind that if the Infinity Gauntlet is a thing, it's totally possible for them to just go, "Oh yeah, I'm going to recreate him from nothing."
And it's also possible that this could have been another. I mean, there's also the whole. This was another accuser that was basically like given Ronan's memory by the Supreme Intelligence because he can fucking do that shit.
Yes, I mean there's any number of ways that they could bring him back into play.
But I love a movie, and this is, I know the Nolan movies have a ton of problems, but one of the things I think they did better than any other superhero movie before was they didn't introduce a villain at the beginning of the movie and then take them off the table at the end of the movie. Like, there are villains that appear in all three movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they didn't just remove them. Like,
that's now that I think about it, Ronan comes up out of that black goop at the very beginning of the film. Exactly. We don't know what that is.
Yeah. No, we don't.
Maybe he was a clone.
So
we don't.
I think that there's the thing this movie did the best is it gave you a glimpse. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the smart thing to do, right? Like we said, Marvel, not only did they market the hell out of this movie, but unlike Scott Pilgrim, which was, I think, the victim of very, very poor marketing, they marketed this movie very, very well.
Yeah.
And so now I like the idea of this Phase 3 hiding in a Phase 2 because they are definitely making the move towards that. As we like the Infinity War, it's got the Avengers in it. It's got a huge cast of characters. And if
you're talking about Infinity Gauntlet.
Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry.
Because Infinity War was
was
Something else.
It was
was
kind of
pretty
weird.
crazy and weird. But yeah, like the Infinity Gauntlet setting up with the Infinity Gems and kind of at the same you're opening up the world to the Marvel Cosmic Universe at the same time that you are testing the waters for this kind of movie.
There are things that we know now and that have been announced that lead very well into the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Because if you can introduce Nova and Adam Warlock in the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie, all of Adam Warlock going to Earth to gather Earth's mightiest heroes makes total sense. You have a lot of Avengers in play that are going to go, yes, let's save the galaxy. We are, in fact, heroes, thinking that they are not just the meat shields for this to hold him off until the real big guns show up. You have guys like Guardians that can go, behind the scenes and do all this stuff. You've introduced the Celestials. You've got Thanos the Mad Titan. You've got, like, everything is in place.
Yeah.
And we can see them moving towards that now.
Absolutely.
And I think that I am, for one, really excited to see Avengers 3, The Infinity Gauntlet, the film.
No.
Absolutely.
And I would like to see it be a 3-parter, too. I'd like to see Avengers have a part. I'd like to see the Cosmic Universe have a part. I think that's how you do it.
I mean,
you tell the movie over
it's gonna
3
be
separate
multi-parts.
movies. Yeah.
But the climax of the film,
You think it'll be Avengers 3?
I think you put that in Avengers 3.
I think that works.
Yeah.
Marvel, we have spoken.
I
Could be.
think that's how it works in my mind.
Given that Guardians is already out and Avengers is still in post-production, we'll probably see Guardians 2 before we see Avengers 3.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Which means that it gives them time to do kind of all of the prep work and establish things so that Guardians 2 leads directly into Avengers 3. Like the after the credits trailer thing is the beginning of Avengers 3, just like the end of, I forget which movie it was, where they were showing Cap in the gymnasium and Nick Fury comes in and talks to him, and then that happens again later in Avengers 1.
I think it's the end of Iron Man 2
Yeah.
and the beginning of Avengers.
So do something very similar to that, where the end of Guardians 2 is the beginning of Avengers 3.
Yeah.
That's kind of... Well, you have the end of Thor 2 basically being like an intro to Guardians, too, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Which you haven't seen that, so you
I
don't
haven't
know
seen it.
about
I will see it.
It's
though.
it's the scene with the collector, and you see all his collections, and they're like, here's the Aether. Have fun with that.
Yeah. They give him an Infinity
And you get
Gem.
to see Adam Warlock's cocoon in the background.
Yes.
Which
Nice.
I didn't notice, but apparently at the very end of Guardians, behind you can see his cocoon is ripped open.
Yeah.
You should bleep that out because
I will.
that was my favorite part of that movie.
Okay, I want to talk
If
about
you've
the
gotten
end credit.
this far and...
I'm still bleeping it out.
All right.
It'll also give me a chance to use my duck bleep out sound, which I always use in a great way.
Isn't that a spoiler now?
No.
All right.
What?
Now that I said, isn't it a spoiler? Is it a spoiler?
No. How far into the spoiler in Infinity can we go? I want to talk about really quick the end scene because there was a lot of controversy about the end scene really quickly. This opening weekend was the first time that they showed that post-credit scene. They didn't show it at Comic-Con. They didn't show it for any of the press teasers, and they didn't announce a lot of new stuff at Comic-Con, and everyone was kind of wondering, why are they not making a big deal out of this? Why are they not doing a big announcement? And a lot of people thought and theorized based on hints and leaks that the post-credit scene from Guardians was going to lead into a big new change in the Marvel Universe. It was going to be they're going to show us something that's real big. And they didn't. Instead, they gave us this really cute post-credits thing that I thought was really good.
Awesome, yeah.
But it wasn't what everybody thought it was. And so now there's a new theory that they were going to do a big post-credit. This was planned, but there was also another, a secondary post-credit
they've been doing two of them.
Right. That was the big announcement of the Marvel Universe. And my theory was Spider-Man, that they were going to, that they had bought the rights back from Sony, or were going to buy the rights back from Sony, and they were going to do an announcement about Spider-Man, which my hope was Donald Glover as Miles Morales. But I think that's the coolest thing that Marvel could ever do right now.
Absolutely.
But that they were going to do some Spider-Man announcement or Spider-Man tease because the deal had been wrapped up, but they hadn't gone forward with the movie yet, but that it got cut because the deal hadn't gone through yet. So there's a lot of theories that like there were supposed to be 2 end credit scenes, and that's the reason why they didn't do any announcements and stuff, and that's the reason why they're hiding a lot of stuff, because there's still 3 Marvel movies. They announced that there's 18, and they've announced like 16 of those 18 or 15 of those 18 films. There's 3 that they have yet to announce.
Interesting.
And so they're holding back. I mean,
They are holding back.
But people on the internet, as they do, like to try to figure it out before the announcement happens. So there's just a lot of cool Marvel rumblings in the background.
Yep.
Awesome. So we have anything else to say?
Nope.
That about do it?
Go see it.
Go see Guardians.
If you haven't
and
already.
listen,
Absolutely
I think,
go see it. And real quick, if you haven't heard, the creator of Rocket Raccoon, Bill Mantlo, was in a terrible car accident back in 1992. He suffered brain damage. He has really big medical bills.
I think he lost an arm, too.
Yeah, he got really badly messed up. And there is a fund, if you would like to donate some money to the creator of Rocket Raccoon for his medical bills. Just search for Bill Mantlo. I'm sure it'll come up.
And Marvel did some really cool stuff for him.
they
Absolutely.
arranged a private screening for him,
Yeah.
which I think was really
Which
cool.
was really cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
if you got a couple of dollars to throw around, send it Bill Mantlo's way.
We'll put a link up on the
Yeah,
on the
totally.
And also, I think we're going to follow this with a review. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll do
We're
a
going to
little-
have a review of Devil Dealers.
I'm high on believing that you're in love with me.
I'm just gonna do an intro. I'm just gonna welcome to View from the Gutters. I'm Andrew Chard.
I'm Joe Preddy, maybe.
I'm Tobias Pension. I was going to say welcome to the View from the Gutters special edition.
Oh yeah, special edition, deluxe.
Deluxe number 2.
Special hot from the
giant
presses.
size. Actually mini size.
Yeah.
So a few weeks ago, we had a comic creator reach out to us. His name is Ross May, and he has written a comic called Devil Dealers.
Yep.
And he asked us if we were interested in doing a review, and I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is our special edition review of Devil Dealers.
Yeah, I should mention too that there's like a Kickstarter group on Facebook that's all about like people who are Kickstarter creators, like sharing their book ideas. And I put a message on there because I'm a huge supporter of Kickstarter books. Basically, it's like, hey, if you want us to review your books or like give you a shout out to your Kickstarter campaign while it's going on, like we're more than willing to take a look at anything that's coming out. So if you have a Kickstarter book that's coming out or an indie book that's coming out that you want some press on, like feel free to contact us at contact@viewfromthegutters.com.
Or if you're just doing a webcomic
Yeah.
or whatever, like we can't promise that we're going to do something, but send it our way and we'll
Yeah,
take
we'll
a
try.
look at it and we'll try and do a little something like this.
We love reading comics. That's why we do this.
And I think
Absolutely.
we've all been pretty clear on our stance about growing the industry.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
like, more product is mostly a good thing. So
Yeah.
we want to, we definitely are all about that. So,
Yeah, we're all about helping people get exposure. So
Yeah,
we'll
absolutely.
definitely take a look at stuff. So Toby, you have some stuff you wanted to...
Well, yeah, so I'm just going to, because nobody else has read this, we're not going to do
Right.
our usual thing where we talk about all kinds of spoilers.
Right.
But I'm going to read from the press release real quick. So Devil Dealers is the exciting story of individuals who have gambled with the devil and won, gaining unique treasures and abilities. Together, they search for the legendary Notebook of Faust, which contains secrets to the afterlife. So, Chard, what did you think about Devil Dealers?
Well, I think the concept is awesome. Like just reading that, I was like, okay, cool. There's always been this kind of lore in fiction of like, oh, you gamble, sell your soul to the devil, you gain these special abilities. There's Robert Johnson, the guitar player in the South, who famously went away for a year, probably practiced the guitar a lot and just got better, but maybe at the crossroads of a fork in the road in the middle of the South, met the devil one night, sold his soul for the ability to play guitar better than anyone's ever played it before. And he came back a year after not being on the scene and was a master guitar player. And So there's a lot of lore in American history, definitely, about the devil and like selling your soul. So I was like, okay, these people have not only sold their soul to the devil, but they gambled with their soul and they beat the devil. And so I thought it was a cool concept. I like the different people involved in this. Like, I think the characters are interesting characters. I think that unfortunately, the villain of the story, the devil, like immediately starts on like a bad footing because he's already lost all these gambling stories to or all these gambling events to these people. It kind of weakens him as a villain a little bit.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. The fact that you're seeing the devil, like all the people in the stories are people who have beaten the devil.
Right.
And so he comes off a little bit like a chump because you see him lose a lot in this story,
and I kind of
don't get to see his victories.
Yeah, I kind of wish there was a reason for it. Like, I kind of wish there was like someone a long time ago had outsmarted him and been like, you know, you now won't win all of your like the initial like loss that he had could have been, you know, some kind of gamble that's like, and now you'll never be able to gamble with the same confidence again. You know, like I've tricked you into thinking that you're not as powerful as you are. But there's not really a reason given for it. So I think that kind of weakens the villain a little bit. That being said, I like the characterization of the devil for about half of the book.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
I feel as if because I'm with you. I thought this was a great idea. You know, and they've got like they've got references to all the great like devil duels in history. And I really love that.
Well, just the Notebook is called the Notebook of Faust, which if you know anything about the story of Faustus and the deal he makes with the devil.
Yeah,
Paradise Lost.
Right. Well, wait, that's
no, it's not.
That's
not Paradise
Faust.
Lost. Yeah, Faust.
It's called Faust.
I always confuse those two for no reason because the one's called Faust,
Right.
or no, it's isn't it the Inferno?
No,
that's Dante.
The Inferno
That's the
is,
Divine Comedy.
The Inferno and Paradise Lost and Faust are all separate works. They all deal with
Similar concepts.
with similar concepts.
Yeah, the devil is their main. The devil and hell are their main.
I think what this book suffers from is just there's not enough of it. There's not like it's 129 pages, and I think
Which
it could have
good.
been. I mean, it's a good length, but I think if there had been like another issue, a little bit of time to kind of develop a little bit more, that would have been. I think that would have been interesting. Like I definitely would have liked to know a little bit more about it.
I think that's definitely a fair criticism, and I think that for an indie creator like this, like someone who's just coming in, like they don't know how far they can really extend themselves, and so I like that the end. Not to spoil anything, no spoilers, but the end leaves stuff a little bit open ended. Like, there's definitely more that they could come back to, and I think that for an indie creator, like, that's the smart move, is you tell one story, and there's some that can still be explored in another story, so that once you've started to build your fan base up a little bit, you can go back to some of the ideas that you've explored earlier.
Yeah, I definitely had a very similar reaction to the two of you guys. I really like the idea that it's a really cool concept. Like, people who have beaten the devil, and I liked a lot of the characterization.
The gambler specifically,
right?
Like,
there's
I like
one
him.
moment where the devil's chasing them, and they're talking about like the personality of the devil, and I thought that was a really cool moment. I do agree that the character of the devil is a little bit weakened, and the story definitely could have been longer. Like, if anything, I felt like the characters didn't have enough development to really sell the end of the story. Like, I wish it had been a lot longer. Had developed the characters more over time.
Well, and even
that
if
you had seen some of the devil's victories where they're like running into people who lost to the devil and maybe like trying to learn some of his secrets, figure out how to capture him.
And even like leaving off on a cliffhanger on this could have been a cool idea, especially as an indie creator. Like, the idea of giving your customers or your fans a complete story is a great idea, and I like that when that happens. But sometimes, you know, knowing that you want to build a universe or create a fan appreciation of your work, like sometimes leaving with a cliffhanger can be really powerful.
Totally.
Because if you leave people wanting more, I think that's the best thing you can do as a creator.
Well, yeah, and I think like reading this, I read this like 2 times pretty much, and in the beginning I was like, this is rough around the edges.
Definitely, it lacks polish.
And I didn't at first. I was like, so there's 2 reasons they could be there, right? They're like, somebody has a good idea, and plenty of times somebody has a good idea that they're just not able to articulate well. And one of them is just that like they didn't have time.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're just trying to do the best they can with the space they have. And after reading it twice, I definitely came to that second thing. Like, everything is there.
Yeah.
It just kind of needs to be coaxed out a little more. You know, it's like, and, you know, unfortunately, you don't, like, this is done by kind of a smaller it's a smaller press book, and it's done completely
it's completely independent. So
it's published by a UK publisher called Marcosia Enterprises.
I really doubt that this guy was able to work with an editor at all, or like, you know, have anyone review some of the dialogue or anything, because although the dialogue is interesting, like sometimes it feels a little bit chunky. It just feels like it's super close, but it's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
But for a freshman effort, like,
when
feels
you're
good.
reading a Marvel or DC book, or even like an Image book, like that book has been worked. Like, it has been polished to perfection, and you're seeing people who are at the top of the industry.
Yeah,
and I believe this is Ross May's first full-length graphic novel.
I believe so. When
Yeah.
he emailed me, he said that he had worked on some other things like Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
But I got the sense that this is really a step up for him in terms of like what he's striving to
And
accomplish.
it's his first creator-owned work.
and like I say all the time on the show, but like creator-owned works is the future of the industry.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, like no one's gonna remember who wrote Wolverine issues like, you know, 48 through 62. Like no one's gonna remember that.
Yeah.
But everyone's gonna remember Robert Kirkman wrote Invincible and Walking Dead, and that's the kind of thing that, you know, indie creators should really strive for. So although a lot of people are like, oh, I really want to get my work at Marvel and DC and all that, like I really applaud any indie creator who has, you know, the ability and the time to attempt a creator-owned book. Like, I'm all for
And
that.
I may have my qualms about the execution in this particular work, but the things that I liked about it were the ideas.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's important to a creator. And I think 2, 3, 5 years down the line, it's those things that are going to make somebody like Ross May like a good creator or not.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I could totally see him like producing much better things down the line.
Yeah, I mean, my only qualms with this book are really that it feels rushed to me.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's damn impressive for you to come out and in your freshman effort, in your first creator-owned work, to be like, to do something that's this strong. Plenty of people have started a lot less strongly than this, you know?
I could criticize this a lot more than I have,
Yeah.
but it's okay. It's not the best thing that I've ever read,
No.
but it's far from the worst thing I've read.
absolutely.
Like, I have read and enjoyed web comics that are a lot less well executed than this.
Definitely.
And if this is a starting point for these creators, I think that they have the potential to do things that are much, much better in the future.
Well,
yeah.
it does exactly what it's supposed to do, right? Which is put their name on your radar. And now the next
Absolutely.
time something comes out, it's like, oh, yeah, I read that thing from that guy. And it was pretty good. Like, it had potential. So I'm definitely going to check out the next ideas and the next ideas. And if he can continue to put out work with the quality ideas that are in this book, but the polish continues to grow,
Oh,
like
absolutely.
5-10 years down the line, like, you know, this is how everybody starts.
Yeah, absolutely.
So often with anything, you know, we see someone's success and we're like, oh man, they're an overnight success.
Yeah.
But that
yeah,
overnight
it's like-
success takes 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
right? Like,
Exactly. They've been in the background working for years
Oh,
on
yeah.
this one thing that they've been doing in their spare time, that they've been pitching to people, or that they've
Yeah.
been kind of gestating in their head till they get the opportunity to get it out there. And then when they do, it's like, yeah, that's great, because they were they spent 10 years working out the kinks and stuff. And like, this is, I mean, he's swinging for the fences, and that's
Yeah.
awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's huge, and I definitely think that there's a huge amount of potential there.
I think that the weakest part of the book for me is probably in the art, and that's not to criticize the artist heavily. It's not to say like, oh, your art is awful, but it's just some of the panels just didn't work for me layout wise, and it like we've said before, like it lacks polish even in the art department, and that's no fault to the creators. It's just the budget isn't there. You know, they don't have the time or the technology or whatever to spend a lot of time on the art and to really polish it down. But
yeah, well, when you're talking about a lot of big name works, like you've got a penciler,
Right.
and an inker,
Absolutely.
and a colorist, and a letterer,
yeah,
and there are some people out there who like do all of those things at once, but those are like top industry
Oh,
professionals.
absolutely.
and just by yourself, especially if you have a day job.
Oh,
like if you're just getting
absolutely.
started in the industry and you have a day job and you're trying to get this done like at night in between other
Yep.
things, like you can't necessarily like get it down to like a crystal finish.
Absolutely. And the whole idea with a creator-owned book like this is like get it out as soon as possible so that your name's on people's radars and so that that budget can start to grow for your next project.
Totally.
Because now that it's available for sale, they're going to see some income from this, and that hopefully that will help fuel their next project. That being said, though, like both of these, like art-wise and story-wise, is strong enough that they have a finished product, and then they can now take this finished product to publishers and go, "Hey, would you like to help us release our next work?" And that's so important. They're on to that next level of like now they can start courting these publishers like Image and Dark Horse and IDW and all this to continue to work on their next stuff.
Right.
So I'm very excited for that.
And then, yeah, I mean, I definitely think that the talent is there for them to be working for some of the bigger indie publishers. I mean, I
Yeah.
would say that they could work for the big two, but you don't want to. Let's
No,
face it.
and
if you're
again,
an indie creator, the
exactly.
last thing you want to do is
Well, especially if you have ideas like this,
Yeah,
where it's like
like
you have
where
good
you're
ideas,
not
you don't
gonna
need to
get it,
play with
like-
other people's toys.
yeah,
like you can
exactly.
create your
Play
own
with-
characters.
Yeah, create your own toys to play with because they're the best ones.
Exactly.
as we've seen time and time again. But
Yeah.
like I mean, I find myself agreeing with Toby. I have read things put out by seasoned professionals with 20 years in the industry that I could not finish. And I went through this and I was interested enough in the world to kind of go back through and kind of look it over again. I mean, it's all there.
At no point reading this was I like, I have to put this down.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I didn't do that. I kept reading, and I was like, I was interested to see where the story goes, and that's the mark of a good creator, I think. So
Yeah, absolutely. So that's Devil Dealers.
well, I think we should talk about the price point a little bit on this.
Oh, yeah.
I was
Oh, yeah.
literally about to say that.
Go for it. I just didn't want to forget.
So Devil Dealers is available digitally on Comixology
Yep.
and in print at quickcomics.com. If you want to pick it up on Comixology, it is $4.
$4 for 129 pages. You cannot beat that. You
No, you
cannot
can't.
beat that.
You're paying $4 for Marvel and DC books that are barely 20 pages.
Yeah.
I paid $8 for a movie that I walked out on.
Yeah.
I could pay half that for a comic that maybe I won't like it to the best thing I've ever read, but for $4 you could do so much worse.
And also,
that was the movie you went and saw with Brant, right? What was it?
No, Brant wouldn't let me walk out. He kept convincing me not to. The movie I walked out on was Mission Impossible 3.
That's fair.
oh, that one's not that. I walked out of Expendables.
I wanted to walk out on Pathfinder,
Actually,
which is the movie that Joe
Kirby
is talking
and,
about.
Kirby and you.
No, it was me, yeah.
Okay, Kirby and you went and watched Scott Pilgrim
We
again,
went and
which
watched Scott Pilgrim
you were
again.
right to.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Expendables 2 totally justified my Stallone theory of
Was
sequels.
it 2? It was 1, right?
No. The first one was awful, but I had this theory that if you look at Rocky 1 is a movie with a very definite message, right?
It's good.
And if you look at Rambo 1, it's a movie with a very definite message. But when you watch the sequels to those, both of which Stallone wrote, it's like, fuck that, we're just going to kill shit and beat people
Stallone
up.
wrote the first Rocky, too.
No,
though.
he totally did. But he was he was a newcomer at that point. He was
Yeah.
relatively unknown.
That
And
was
so
really Stallone's Goodwill Hunting.
it really
It kind of was, yeah.
Whereas
think
every Rocky movie after that is Stallone's Reindeer Games.
Yeah, absolutely. So I knew that the Expendables 2 would be everything I wanted from the first Expendables, which is just mindless shit blowing up and people shooting people and all that stuff. And it was. And
Yeah.
so that was my thesis on that. Sorry,
Yeah.
I got away. Anyways,
Well, anyway, back to the point.
for $4,
$4.
there is no reason you guys shouldn't buy this.
And
But,
also, we're all about supporting indie creators doing
Absolutely.
the kind of stuff that this affords them to do. So,
And-
if you're going to vote for your dollar to support someone that should be in the industry, like this is the kind of stuff I would want to spend my $4
don't
on.
buy Futures and Number One.
Yeah,
Don't just go, like, seriously.
just
if
skip a
you
week of
think
Batman
we-
Eternal. You're not going to miss anything.
Yeah, if you
Nothing
think
happens
we know
in
what
that
we're
book.
talking about and you listen to our show because you care about our opinions and you have $4 extra,
Yeah.
buy this book. Support these guys
Oh, yeah.
because this is the future of the industry and this is where you want your money going, is to people that are going to bring you new and fresh ideas and cool stories and not the same stupid bullshit that we could get anywhere. You know, it's just seriously, there's like no reason for you to like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to buy this. And I have a review copy.
Yeah.
Because I really believe in voting with your dollar. And so seriously, you got $4 extra this month or this week, fucking buy Devil Dealers because it's money going to a good place and a good cause. And I really think these guys will do good things. I really look forward to what Ross May will put out next.
I kind of hope that with him working through Comixology and going digital on a lot of stuff, that in the future maybe they'll do more stuff like the Panel Syndicate, where they're releasing issues as a pay what you want kind of deal, because I think that
I'm a huge supporter of that idea.
It's hard when you're not as well known. Guys like Marcos Martin and Brian K. Vaughan are big names, so they're able to do that. But I think that the more people that start to do that and the more like kind of collaboration that goes between that kind of stuff, the more we'll see creators being able to really grow in that kind of environment. So.
And again, if you're a creator out there, like, shoot us an email at contact at viewfromthegutters.com. We'll take a look at what you got.
We love
reading new shit.
Yeah, we do.
We love reading new and interesting stuff.
I get really tired of reading Batman Eternal every week.
I get really tired of reading most of the shit that comes out every week. Not a fan.
All right, so thanks for listening, guys. Go check out Devil Dealers, and we will catch you guys next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
Keep it up, girl. Yeah, you turn me on. What kind of feeling? I'm high on belief.
Thanks for listening to our show, everybody. Special thanks to theouthousers.com for posting our episodes. You can always keep up to date with everything we're doing by checking out our website at viewfromthegutters.com. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel as we post new videos every week. You can like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at ViewFRTHGutters. And please be sure to leave us an iTunes review, as it really does help new listeners find the show. And thanks again for listening. And as always, keep reading.